My name is Barasa. I moved to Japan to teach English from Kenya. If you're interested, subscribe. You don't want to miss it. Come on, join the bandwagon. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Barasa. I do create content on moving and teaching English in Japan. If this is something that you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel and join the gang. Now today I just wanted to share a bit of my thoughts about teaching English in Japan now that I've been here for 1 year. It's like a 1 year update. 1 year later, how do we feel? Where's our headspace at? Is this what we thought it would be? Basically my expectations and whether my expectations were met a year later. And I think this is a very, very important video, especially for me and for people who are preparing to come to Japan and teach English. Maybe this is something, my experience is something they would want to hear for them to actually make a decision whether this is something that they want to do or not. So for starters, yes, I do have a bachelor's degree in education. However, like I've said in my older videos, you really don't need to be a teacher to teach English, and 90% of people in Japan who teach are not teachers by profession. So don't be scared. You can still stay and watch. I moved to Japan from Kenya in March the 16th, and that's where the journey began. My thought process before this, I felt like I'm a teacher, I have done this before. I had prior experience teaching English. I'm a high school teacher back home. I was a high school teacher back home, and I taught English to a girls' school, a fully girls' school, and a mixed school. So I do have quite a bit of experience with both genders and single gender schools, which was such a rewarding experience. And because of that, I felt very confident that even though Japan is a different country, I have been a teacher before and this is not something that's going to be difficult. And I also figured that given that in Kenya, when we teach English, because my major was in English literature, when we teach English to students in Kenya, it is a lot more complex because everyone speaks and understands the language. So what we are teaching is not the language per se, but we teach the things that you teach, but not the language, like the verbs, grammar. We would do literature, read books, poetry, and dissect poems, and the difficult stuff, analyze books and all that. And I thought moving to Japan as an English teacher, you're not teaching this complex things, you're teaching the language, like hello, how are you, what is this called in English, what is this called in English, how do you say this in English? And I thought to myself, it's not going to be that difficult because I've been doing this and just going to say cat, dog, hello, how are you, how was your day? It's not going to be difficult. I was in for a rude shock. So the expectation was this is going to be a lot easier, it's going to be very relaxed, but unfortunately it's not as easy as I thought. And I remember before I came here, we were being told that for those people who have been teachers, who have experience in teaching, or this is their career, it's going to be very difficult for you compared to a person who has never taught before. And I remember thinking, what are they talking about? What nonsense is that? Because, given the situation, we have the upper hand because we have experience teaching. So what do you mean that it's going to be a lot difficult for us compared to people who have never taught before? And I feel like I don't think that's true at all. And I still came with a mindset of an expert rather than a student who wants to be taught. And that really kicked it really did. It really, really did. And I think my first advice would be for anyone who wants to get into teaching English, ESL teaching English abroad as a second language. If you're a teacher from your home country, don't think it's going to be easy. It's going to be a lot difficult. And I'm going to get into the details of why it was a lot difficult. Because one, you have adapted to the teaching style of your home country and how teaching works in your country. So when you come to this new country, subconsciously, you tend to apply the same skills from your home country to this new country, which 99.9% of the time it doesn't work. So you already have expectations in your head, the expectations of what should be done as a teacher, what you should do as a teacher, because that's what you've been doing, only to realize that when you come to this new country, the class is different, the education system is different, how things happen are different, and even you're no longer like the lead, you're a T2, meaning that you work under somebody, so the class goes according to their plan and not your plan. So that was a very huge adjustment. I found myself doing things the same way we did from back home, because what had just changed is the environment and not the job in itself or the career. So that transition was very difficult because I was always comparing. No, but I thought it should be like this. But you're like, no. Whereas from the point of, from the perspective of somebody who has never been to a class before, they don't have a reference point. They don't have something to compare it to. So they're learning, they're taking in what they're being told and going to apply it in class for the first time, meaning they don't think that, oh, whatever I'm doing is wrong or right, or this is not how it should be, or this is not how I like to teach, this is not how I like my classes to go, because they've never been in a class. Whereas the teacher or the person with experience teaching are busy comparing. And it's very subconscious. It's not something that you do consciously. It's very subconscious. You'll find yourself expecting things to go and be done in a particular way, and you get confused. It gets frustrating that, oh, I thought I knew this. I thought I'm a teacher. I should know this. And that's where the frustration comes from. I think the next thing is the fact that I thought it's going to be an easy job. To be honest, it is easy, but it's not as easy, because this is a country that nobody speaks English and you're here to teach them English, meaning your environment is full of people who don't speak the language that you speak, you can't relate to, and they can't relate to you. And I remember my first few months into teaching, I was a little bit depressed. I was dealing with a lot because, one, I want you to imagine, you're in a staff room or a teacher's room full of 50 plus teachers, and you're seated on this desk. Everyone is doing something, like, you don't exist to them. You literally don't exist to these people. Because, one, even if they wanted to speak to you, they can't. You can't communicate because you don't speak Japanese and they don't speak English. The only people who speak English are the teachers you teach with, and some of them, their English is not as perfect, but some, their English is exceptional, and they're always busy, so they're not there to speak to you. And Japanese culture in general is very, I don't know, there's an emphasis on solitude and introvertness. So everyone seems to be an introvert and everybody seems to mind their own business. You might come to school with your face not washed and nobody would care, literally. And I remember there were times, the first few times was like, yeah, I like my personal space, nobody's speaking to me, blah, blah, blah. But it got to a point where you sit there and you realize that all these 50 plus people are speaking a language you don't understand. And life is happening for them. Like, people are laughing, people are cracking jokes, people are having conversations. People burst out laughing, you don't even know why they're laughing, because you're just sitting there and you don't understand whatever's going on around you. And that started becoming very frustrating. Or I would be in class, everyone looks different. It's like, it's those tiny, tiny bits, the moments that you have where you realize, oh my God, I am a foreigner, and life seems to be happening for everyone. Like, everyone knows what they should be doing. This is their home, they're taking the train, they're going home, they're going shopping, they know where to go and get this and do this and go to the hospital. Like, life is easy. But for you, you're in the train, you're in your own world. You don't understand what is happening around you. You don't understand what people are talking about or saying. And that was very frustrating. The most frustrating part was not understanding, but realizing that you are different and not understanding. Does that make sense? Like, you notice people laughing, and usually you want to be a part of the laughter, but you don't know why they're laughing. And to you, it looks like you're posed and everything is moving and you're not. Those scenes from the movies, yeah, something like that. And that got a bit frustrating. When it comes to the job, of course, it seems a lot easier, but to me, it feels a bit very performative in a way. Thank God I've been a performer for the major part of my life, thanks to music and drama back home. But it's something that needs you to perform a lot more and be creative rather than just be a teacher. You have to do lots of laughing, lots of singing. And even on days where you're not okay, you have to pretend or show up as you're okay. Because one, people don't, like, it's not like you can have a conversation and tell people, oh, today I'm not having a great day. Because the work culture here is very, very different, and the people, their personalities are very different, and you can't conversate. You can't have a conversation. And it's like you just have to smile, and, when you get home, you can cry your heart out if you have anything that's bothering you. So I found it to be a bit performative in a way. I still find it very performative because that's the only thing you can do. Because if I was learning a new language and I don't understand, I can't speak it, you'll have to get creative. You'll have to do the gestures, you'll have to do the songs and just be a clown for me to try and understand. And now I think verbal and non-verbal cues are just things we would read about in literature, and gestures and all these things. So when it comes to performing narratives, I don't know if you guys remember features of oral narratives. But when you come here, they really manifest, because you realize what you can't communicate with your words, you can communicate with your face, and gestures and your features can do the talking. And at the end of the day, communication has happened. So it is very performative. That's something I never expected it to be. Lastly, I think the growth that happens because you've exposed yourself to this new way of doing things. Therefore, it means you have to get out of your comfort zone and adapt to this new way of, doing things. And I found myself evolving as a person, because the habits I had to let go of, the new skills I had to pick up, and every day it's a learning experience. Every day for me is a learning experience. I get to learn a new thing every single day, and when you think the learning has stopped, you're just getting started. You're really just getting started. And I think for the most part, coming to the end of this video, by the way, the most frustrating part for me until now is not being able to communicate as efficiently. I don't know if this makes sense. Like sometimes I would notice that some Japanese people really want to speak to me, or even my students really want to speak to me, but we can't speak because they can't speak English and I can't speak Japanese. And even the little English that they know, or the little Japanese that I know, sometimes we can't have like a good deep conversation. And that frustrates me a lot, because I see that people are really interested in me and they really want to get to know me, and I really want to get to know them. I'm interested in having these conversations, but we really can't communicate, and it just gets to my head so much. I think that was also, it's frustrating at times. Sometimes it's a good thing, but sometimes it's really frustrating. 1 year later in Japan, I feel like this is still this is an opportunity that is worth my time and worth my energy as well, because at the end of it all, it is such a good opportunity for me to see how people actually live lives outside of my own world, which was Kenya and the African continent, and realize that people's lives just go on regardless of where they are in the world. I think it was such a difficult thing for me to comprehend, that you mean to tell me these people speak Japanese, do everything in Japanese. Doctors treat you speaking Japanese. Like, it was such a weird thing. Like, everything is in Japanese, It's not like I expected it to be different, but it's just weird when you live it, to see that people can live life without speaking the languages that you speak, without speaking English, without speaking Swahili. Everything is in Japanese. And that was, it really opened up my eyes. There are things that I would really want to carry from this country and take back home. There are things that I really treasure from this country, mannerisms, the culture. There are very, very many things that I would want to take back with me, because Japan has been it has been that country that has taught me many lessons. And to be honest, it has given me better skills. I think I'm a better teacher, and even if I was to apply to other countries, I think I'm a lot more confident, and I think I would be a better teacher than I was a year ago, 2 years ago. In hindsight, teaching English in Japan does have a bit of its challenges, which is something I would, talk about in a separate video. But in general, do I regret this decision? I think the answer would be no. Could it be better? Yes, I feel like the money could be better. The working conditions could be better, like in terms of, wanting to take charge a bit. I think that could be better. But as of now, I think everything is just working as it should. And that makes me happy. 1 year later, I never knew I would ever say this, because it doesn't feel like a year, but it has been a year. It's almost a year, I think. Yeah. by March 2025, we would clock 1 year in Japan, going into our second year. And I hope that the second year does come with, I'd have more positive things to say, or maybe a change. We never know. So if you like this video, please leave a comment down below. See you again next week.